against my enemy, which is death. So Jesus Christ tramples down death by death. And so Christ doesn't die on the cross so that God could satisfy his anger. Salvation is not God's problem. It's my problem. God's fine. It's me that needs a champion to destroy those things that are keeping me from the Father: sin, death, and Satan.
What do you think? Not bad. Thank you. All right. That was just a portion of a clip of a 20-minute program, but I wanted to just show you that's available, and churches are using it all over the country now. And there'll be some information up here that you can get if you'd like to look at it. You can download the videos, you can order DVDs, you can get the workbooks and all that kind of stuff. And it's extremely expensive, but it's absolutely worth it. But I want to. Okay, shut down. We're done here. I'm not going to. Here, let's do this. There we go. I'm going to let you get some questions or comments now. Yes, sir.
Is any of what you're doing the archdiocese about?
No, that's not fair. The archdiocese has done the evangelism conference in Portland, which is the beginning. But you've got to understand something. I came from outside the cultural mindset of a church that was here long before I got here. And thank you very much for preserving the faith so that I could receive it. Thank you. I can't repay you. That's the reason why the first liturgy I did in my parish, I did it in 95% Greek. And at the end of the liturgy, I said, now folks, you saw that I did the service mainly in Greek today. It'll never happen again. But you deserve to know that I can. Because there's yayas and papus who preserve the faith so that I could receive it. And I owe them a debt of gratitude. So that's my attitude about that. But changing the mindset. You know the 7 last words of a dying church are, don't you know what those are? What? We've never done it that way before. We're turning a big ship. And so this is just now starting to get out here. And I'm also willing to submit this to the rest of the body of Christ to say, they may say, you know what, this isn't really the way we need to go. I think they're wrong. But I'm a student as well as a teacher. So it's starting slowly but surely. The Office of Outreach and Evangelism at the Archdiocese is moving away from the big welcome packet to the small packet that we have here. So they're taking that advice. They're starting to work with some other stuff that we've been doing and helping out as well. So it's a slow process. Yes, sir. Oh, you're going to get a microphone, okay.
My name is John Zavidas. I'm a YOW e-board member. And first of all, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
I love your accent, by the way.
Thank you.
It's almost as cool as my southern accent. Not quite, but almost.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you. Again, this is phenomenal. Obviously, you have found the keys to grow the population, grow the community. I'm assuming you're not done yet. This is just phase one.
No, I haven't saved the entire country yet.
Absolutely. So I would love to hear more about your phase 2. What are you thinking next for fulfilling this journey to fulfilling this?
That's a good question. That's a good question. The next video series, teaching series that I want to do is to help train parishes to be welcoming communities. One of my greatest fears is, as the Journey to Fullness gets more and more used, that people are going to go to Orthodox churches that are the exact opposite of welcoming communities, and people are going to be turned off from the Orthodox faith by that. That keeps me up at night. But it is what it is. But the main thing, the next thing that I also want to do is I also want to encourage my brother priests to be better preachers. Because when the pulpit is effective, father's not a title. And the Greeks have this great phrase, the fish rots from the head down. And it really is true. As the leadership lead the people, that's the direction that the people will go. So the leadership needs to make sure that we're all rowing in the same direction. It's hard work. But the best way to do that is to have a laboratory in a local community doing it. So that's what we're hoping to do in coming, to create that kind of atmosphere. It's certainly not going to work in every parish, because not every parish is a rural southern parish in a very affluent county. We're all over the place. But the Northeast has its own challenges. But the fact of the matter is, guys, those churches are closing. They're dying out. It's just what it is. So when you see something like that happen, then you do something. So the next phase is to provide some more training materials for parishes to do that, and also to encourage a higher level of preaching in our pulpits. Yes, sir.
Thanks. Do you like my Bulgarian accent as well?
I love it. It's like the United Nations, man. It's cool. You've got the really good people, the Southerners, and then the rest of them wish they were. I mean, the Greeks, and everybody who wishes they're Greek, isn't that right? Everybody that's Greek and those that wish they're Greek. That's only two people.
So I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because you will make me even more provocative. So I'm a bit of a strange animal at Saint Sophia, in the sense that I'm a Bulgarian by birth, and yet I go to a Greek church. Collective gasp. Why? Sort of the Yayo would say, well, isn't there a Bulgarian church somewhere in the suburbs?
Exactly.
So speaking of kind of low-hanging fruit, I mean, how do you? And I'm also involved with IOCC as our esteemed board member, John.
I'm a frontliner. IOCC, I'm a frontliner, so I know exactly. Yeah.
So I guess my question, if it is a question, is what can we do better to promote cooperation among the various brands of Orthodox? Because sure as hell, it's so confusing. Sure. Right? Okay. So that's part one of my question.
Yeah.
Part two of my question is, if Orthodoxy is indeed to grow and survive, let alone thrive, it needs to speak the language of the people.
Right.
And what is the language of the people of the United States is American.
Right.
Okay. And so I'm going to be very controversial here.
It's not very controversial,
At
brother.
what point does a place like Saint Sophia, which is steeped in Greek tradition, at what point does it recognize that it needs to do virtually everything in English?
Well, I'll say this. I will say this about that. I think that, let me say first about the language issue. The language issue is always a red herring, and I'll tell you the reason why. The language issue will take care of itself. The fact of the matter is, when there aren't any more kids in your parishes, and there's nobody here to come to church anymore, it won't matter what language it's in. It'll just be a museum of a day gone by, and that's it. And everybody gets to choose what they want. Jesus was the weirdest leader that existed. He would walk up to people who it seemed to be obvious what they wanted, and he would ask them the weirdest questions. He would say, "What do you want?" Blind Barnabas. "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. I'm blind." "Oh, what do you want me to do for you?" "I'm sorry? Lord, I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. I'm blind." The man about the pool of Bethesda. "Do you want to be well?" "Do I want to be well? I'm here, aren't I?" When a man, I tell you what, if you tell me what you want, I'll tell you who you are. So when it comes to the language issue, that's going to take care of itself. It's a shame it's going to come to that, but it's going to take care of itself. Number 2, I will say this, the most Hellenic thing that the Greek Orthodox Church can do, the most Hellenic thing that the Greek Orthodox Church can do would be to follow the example of Alexander the Great and insist that everyone could be a Hellene, even if they don't speak Greek. I'm a Hellene, but I'm not Greek. Don't want to be Greek. I like being Southern. I feel bad for people who aren't Southern, because that's a deficiency they can't overcome. But the most Hellenic thing that a Greek Orthodox Church can do, the most Hellenic thing, the center of Hellenism is civilization belongs to everybody. That's normal Hellenic mindset. Racism has no place in Hellenism. So, the language issue is going to take care of itself. The next thing about cooperation, there is nothing like success to make people stand up and cheer. So, when we start insisting on excellence instead of exalting mediocrity as a virtue, we will start gaining ground with this unity thing. Unity is a gift of the Holy Spirit. We have to pray for it. And I'll tell you this, if you really want to build cooperation between the jurisdictions, practice the Orthodox faith on a consistent basis. Be Orthodox on purpose, and that's what centers everything. Then, whether it's Bulgarian or Romanian or Russian or Serbian or Greek is not the issue. What's the unifying issue in all of those groups? Orthodoxy. So practice orthodoxy. Don't make it politics. Make it faith. Practice the faith. Fast on Wednesdays and Fridays. If you want all the jurisdictions to come together, fast on Wednesdays and Fridays. What does that got to do with anything, Father? It'll change you, and when you're changed, the light burns brighter. And then people come together. Unity comes from being Orthodox on purpose, folks, not simply by writing papers and so on. And no, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm a paper writer, man. I'm so political and I'm so right-wing. I make Ronald Reagan look like a new Bigler, for God's sake. It's embarrassing. But the thing about it is, that's not going to change people's lives. What changes people's lives is when I act like an Orthodox Christian in the everyday setting. It breaks down barriers. And that's the long game. Because we're not going to, we Orthodox don't ever do anything short. We always do things. If we do it in 200 years, we feel like, oh, boy, slow down. So that's what I would encourage people to do. Next, question, comment, thoughts? We have a lady over here. Ladies first. Let him get the microphone to you so everybody can enjoy your voice.
Thank you. A couple comments. First of all, I think we have some of the best homilies here with our priests.
Are they recorded?
I don't know if they're recorded all the time. They are a true gift.
Amen.
And I also say, and then I'll get to my question, I'm a mother of 2 teenagers, and
God bless you.
we don't get to church as often as we should, especially with her senior year. We came to church last Sunday, maybe we've been 5 times this fall, and she said, Mom, every time I leave church, I feel good.
Wow.
And from the mouth of a young person, so, and she's addicted, it's Instagram, it's Facebook.
Sure.
It's all that stuff of that generation, but they need
Amen.
to come to see the people, to hear their praise,
Amen.
all of that. So my question to you is, because I went to school in the South, so I'm a little bit familiar with the...
lucky child.
And I actually will confess, I went to a Greek Orthodox church in the South, and I had my first, it was a really good experience, growing up in this big cathedral. But do you have the hymns already translated into English?
Oh, yeah.
The 5 or 6 major hymns.
Sure.
I've grown up in this church.
Sure.
I don't know the hymns.
We have congregational singing next.
Here, but do they participate? Is everybody singing on Sunday?
Yeah, we have congregational singing. Our congregation is the choir.
And do they know when to sing?
Yeah, they better, because if they miss their cue, I'm going to be thrown off too. So, I mean, no, we have congregational singing.
Because that would be a challenge to get
It's hard
the
work.
communities a little more engaged. Because I don't think it's the language barrier so much.
You're right.
It's when we are able to participate, I think could make a small difference.
I will tell you this. Let me say 2 things. First, we do congregational singing in Cumming. And the reason why we do congregational singing in Cumming is because we don't have a choir. And we don't have a choir. We have 2 chant stands. We have 2 chanters on either side that do the antiphonal stuff. But our people join in. For instance, our 3 hymns that we do for our saints, everybody sings every time. And then through the intercessions of the Theotokos, Savior, save us, everybody does that. All of the responses, all the people do. And we've trained them to do that. Now, that's hard work. But we're a community that's 20 years old. We're not a community that's 150 years old. You see the difference? So that's a bigger ship to turn. But it certainly is conceivable that it's extremely important for us to find ways, especially in this American culture. In the American culture, the people expect to be engaged in the worship service. That's part of their expectation. They expect, whether that's right or wrong isn't the issue. The issue is that's what they expect. So we have to find ways to deal with that. And one of the ways is congregational singing. It's a wonderful thing. And I will tell you this, gang, that experience of her teenager is not unusual when the faith is done with beauty and dignity and with purpose. Because this is the faith that recreates the universe. Orthodoxy is the faith that everybody should belong to. I believe that with all my heart. Everybody ought to be Orthodox. Father Barnabas should be. By the way, folks, do you know I did a consulting job for a church in the Northeast. I won't tell you where. And I told them, I said, first thing, folks, we've got to get the building fixed up because we need to sell it. Oh, what do you mean, Father? I said, you're not going to make it. I love doing that because then everybody starts freaking out completely. It's just absolutely wonderful. But at least their ears start opening up for God's sake, which is wonderful. No, we don't want to sell the building. We want to survive. I said, okay, then if you want to survive, then answer this one question, and I'll know whether you're really serious about wanting to survive. Why don't the people who live across the street walk to church here? Oh, we don't know. I said, then you're not ready to survive. If you're not the faith for the people who live across the street, how in heaven's name can you be the faith for the people who drive 25, 30 minutes away? They're not going to be engaged. Be present to where you are. If you don't know why the people who live within walking distance of your church don't come to church here, find out. Or maybe they're not Greek. I don't care about that. It's not relevant to me. Do they breathe in and out? Well, yes. They need to be Orthodox. Do they breathe in and out on a daily basis? Yes. Orthodox. They need to be Orthodox. So this is a mindset shift, folks. You won't start changing the patterns of death that have taken hold until you change your mindset and start assuming that people want to be Orthodox. Do you understand me? Please leave this room knowing that, okay? Do that for me. That's the conversion you have to go through tonight. We'll have an altar call later, and then we'll have folks up here. No, I'm just another question. We got another one right over here. We're going to do maybe 2 or 3 more, and then I'm tired. And I've got, by the way, I brought. We just published a book called Faith Encouraged, which is daily devotionals to help you stay connected to the church between Sundays. I have a box of them here. They're $19.95. I mean, it goes to the Father Barnabas empty stomach. No, I'm just teasing. It goes to Faith Encouraged Ministries. We're raising money actually to do these next video projects that we need to get done. And you're more than welcome to get it, and I'll be happy to sign it for you too as well. Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. So my name is Stephanie Zavitas. Recently married.
Hey, it's a habit. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So actually getting back to the topic of language, I think that the language is a vehicle to better understand the services and the faith.
Yes.
So what can we do better to translate the language? I don't speak fluent Greek. I was raised in the Greek church. I speak very little, but I think coming to the service, actually learning and understanding the nuances of the language and how it basically creates and orchestrates the services is something that we can do better. So I don't think I enjoyed your welcome packet, but one thing I noticed is that there's no Greek there. And I think
none.
I understand
we're 70% convert. That's the reason why nobody speaks Greek in our parish.
But I do think that there is a place
Yeah.
for the language to be able to translate the faith.
Sure. Listen, nobody gets extra points for being ignorant, folks. It's important to know where your faith came from. That's extremely important. That's necessary. But the reality is, we have a few hours a week to instill lifelong wisdom in people's lives. Most folks are Sunday-only Orthodox. Isn't that true? They're Sunday-only Orthodox, if that. So that means we have 2 hours a week, maybe, to affect them. I got to make some choices there. And if I have to make choices, I'm going to choose to challenge them with the beauty of the theology in a language that they can understand. That doesn't mean, by the way, if you look in there, you also notice we have a Greek school. So that's there as well. But isn't it interesting, in our Greek school we teach modern Greek, we don't teach Koine Greek. We don't teach the New Testament Greek. We teach modern Greek. And I'll never will forget, I had a guy come to me and he says he was upset with me. He said, "Father, you're not using enough Greek in the service." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, where are all the Greeks?" I said, "I don't know, Nico, let's go get them." Will you go with me? Oh, Father. I said, well, wait a second, Nico, let me ask you a question. Did you marry a Greek girl? No, Father, I didn't. Does she speak Greek? No, she doesn't speak Greek. Oh. What about your kids? Do they speak Greek? No, Father, they don't speak Greek. Do they go to church? No, Father, they're very busy. Ah. What about your grandkids? Do they speak Greek? No, Father, they don't speak Greek. Ah. So basically you're asking me to do for you what you refuse to do for yourself. No. Sorry. If you don't love this enough to preserve it, I'm not going to help you do what you will not do for yourself. Sorry. I'd rather reach out to your kids and your grandkids with a language that they can understand and bring them to the fullness of the faith that way, and then they'll understand why the Greek is valuable, and they'll learn then. Because you see, folks, here's the deal. Hellenism is the bowl that holds the treasure of orthodoxy. If I spend all my time admiring the bowl, I'll lose the treasure. But if I focus on the treasure, I'll always value the bowl. Does that make sense? I don't know about you guys, that's pretty good. I mean, that is. That's pretty good. Yeah, amen. I mean, I didn't know Greek at all when I went to seminary in Boston. You should have heard my Greek professor. God bless her. I thought the woman was going to commit suicide listening to her. It was horrible. But by the way, I did tell Nico, I said, Nico, I'll tell you what, I'll use more Greek in the service if you can translate this. In archeo logos, ke logos in prostonteo. I don't know what that means, Father. I said, well, you speak Greek. But that's Kine Greek. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He didn't know. I said, Nico, sorry. Come to class. Questions? Yes, go ahead.
I have many questions, sir. I'm going to have to come and talk to you afterwards. But one, I'm going to pose this to Father Steve, Dimitri, and yourself. This is a plea for a parish in eastern North Carolina that wants a priest, has a priest that serves occasionally when possible, and has had a great deal of trouble getting the Archdiocese to assign. Let's put it that way. So they don't care whether the guy is 28 years old or 75. They just want a priest. So if you can help, and if you all can help,
That's Father Barnabas is in Metropolis.
That's exactly. So we need to get a priest up there. All right. What's the name of the city?
New Bern. Or Greenville and New Bern.
Okay.
Actually, it splits between two. So the other thing the first of many other things I wanted to ask you about was description a little bit more of your parish and how that has worked. You said 70% 70% convert. And the remainder is Greek and Arabic?
We have mainly lifelong Orthodox from the Greek Orthodox tradition. By the way, there's no such thing as a Greek church. Just like there's no such thing as a Russian church or a Romanian church or anything like that. There are Orthodox churches that have come from a Greek background. But Greek churches pray to Zeus. We don't pray to Zeus. So the Orthodox church, I know that's a habit, guys, but it's a habit that if you change the way you talk, you start changing the way you act, right? Okay? So that's extremely important. We got there because we intentionally wanted to be present in the place that we were in, so we worked for it. And my lifelong Orthodox bought into that and helped me do it.
So people actually moved there?
No, we converted to folks that lived across the street. We converted the folks that were there. The 20-minute radius of your church, around your church, is your mission field. On average, in an American town, in an American setting, an American on average will drive 20 minutes to church. That's your boundary. That's your Jerusalem. That's where you work. And then the Judea and Samaria to the othermost parts of the earth that comes later. That's through IOCC. But your Jerusalem is your 20-minute radius around your church. Mark that out. Those are the people you talk to.
And so the final of the three things that I wanted to ask you before I bombard you with 10 more personally are in the panel of the videos that you had up there, there was one that appeared to be a man in white with a zucchetto chasing somebody across and with the Vatican behind. And I wondered if you might tell me a bit about that.
That was the YouTube.
That was the YouTube. That was the YouTube. Oh, that was the YouTube stuff that popped up. Yeah, that's not mine, thank God. Okay, Michael, yes.
Father, you mentioned that...
oh, Lord, he took notes. God save me.
That people primarily want to be engaged.
Right.
And I brought a friend one time to the liturgy, and afterwards we sat over coffee, and I asked him about it. And his questions were, Mike, why is the priest, why is the priest, what the hell is he doing back there?
I'm not telling you.
And why is his back always to us?
Yeah.
And I had this conversation with my new friend Alfred, who was a convert in the back over there after one of Father Steve's typically engaging Bible studies. And he told me that he converted from Catholicism, and that the Catholics decided after Vatican II to turn the Eucharist around so that the priest is facing the congregation and it becomes engaging them. What do you think about that?
It can turn them into an audience, and you're a lousy. By the way, folks, when you're in church, you're not an audience. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. That's the reason why I'm facing with you toward God. So I think that stinks. And the reason why I think it stinks is because, number one, first off, the Divine Liturgy is not an evangelism tool. The Divine Liturgy is the bedroom where the people of God consummate their love relationship with the Father. The Eucharist is served there. The Divine Liturgy is not the place. If you want to do evangelism that way, bring them to Saturday evening Great Vespers. Bring them to other services. That's the reason why by the way, do you know the number one way that an Orthodox church grows? The number one way that an Orthodox church grows? Lots of church services. That's the way the number one way that an Orthodox church grows. A full complement. I mean, it's embarrassing. You want to be Orthodox? Go to church. That's the way to do it. For centuries, before we had books, before we had videos, before we had any of that stuff, the way the Orthodox Church makes Christians is we go to church, and we do it a lot. So go to church.
If I can interject,
You can.
I think someone at the conference said exactly the same thing. So Vespers, if you're going to bring somebody to church, Divine Liturgy is kind of tough.
Yep.
Because there's a lot going on,
Yep.
and it's difficult. But Vespers, a little more quiet, a little more laid back. The hymns, the psalms, I think they'll be receptive to it. And
Or something like this.
Just to finish what Father was saying, is that lots of services, and I'll never forget this, one of my favorite quotes from maybe you said it, I don't know, from the conference.
Yes, it was me.
Prayer attracts the grace of God.
Amen.
And the grace of God attracts people.
Amen. That's it. Folks, we got the best message in the world. All we have to do is say it a lot and say it in a way that reaches people. And say it in the places where they're at. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is it up to the individual parishes and the priests to start speaking more English and doing the liturgy in English?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to say this. As far as the English and Greek or English and Russian, I mean, Church Slavonic is completely a language that no Russian speaks, for heaven's sake. They don't speak it. Church Slavonic is a completely unintelligible language to everybody, except maybe a few priests. So if you get hooked up on the language, you're already going to miss the point. Don't worry about it. It's going to take care of itself. Don't worry about it. And your priest is a good man. He knows how to pastorally deal with this issue. Trust him. He knows what he's doing. He's a smart guy. I've met him. I've talked to him. He's a Yankee. What are you going to do? I blame his parents. It's not his fault. Anyway, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully this is an easy one. And hopefully the last one. Like you mentioned, getting people on board at the church you're helping is obviously a very difficult step. Once you get people on board to make that decision, that's not always the hardest thing. It's actually moving forward. So what, to you, have you found to be one of the biggest hurdles or challenges that you've seen to actually moving forward once people are, let's say, on board?
It's a great question. It's a great